And Nigeria has overtaken India as the country with the largest number of extremely poor, with 87 million people living in extreme poverty, according to a new report by Brookings Institution. Paul Alaje, senior economist at SPM Professionals, joins me from Abuja to discuss this. Now, Paul, I came across a headline yesterday, and it says Nigeria beats India to clinch the position of the country with the highest number of extremely poor people. And I said to myself, I had no idea we're actually in competition, for that particular position. But on a more serious note, what do you make of this new report?
Yeah, it only shows that we have hand report results of our inactions, particularly as it affects economic policy. What we should consider, a number of persons have argued that most Nigerians now can live above $2 a day. And I wonder if they really understand that using $2 a day is just one of the parameters. There are about 7 different indicators for measuring those that are poor. And if, because of time, I don't know if I have time to run through them. Number one is housing. If you live in a house that has thatched roof and there is no toilet within your house, you are said to be poor. And to make it very clear, if the distance between your bedroom and your toilet is more than 45 seconds, then you are said to be poor. Again, if more than one family share a toilet, then such family is said to be poor. Again, access to water. A lot of Nigerians, at least 2/3 of Nigerian population, don't have access to potable water. So how do you say you are rich or you are living comfortably if you don't have access to water? As I speak to you today, the housing gap in Nigeria is over 20 million. In 2017, in 2012, it was 17 million. In 2012, it was 17 million. And UNDP says the housing gap is increasing by 860,000 per annum. If you are 860,000 and you even want to use simple interest but not compound interest, you already have almost 22 million housing gap as we speak today. So people that are poor, most of the time, they don't have houses. And Nigerian population is no longer 180. According to the DG of the agency that should know, he said Nigerian population is now 198 million people. So if 198 million people, approximately 200 million people, have more poor people than a country that is 1.34 billion people, then it causes for a lot of worry. So it does not come to our organization as a surprise. We know that the kind of policy Nigeria makes is not to lift people out of poverty, is perhaps to keep people moving on. For instance, we hear government officials say that we have lifted 2,000 people out of unemployment. We have now made policy that has engaged 80,000 people. Meanwhile, unemployment figure is 45 million people. Unemployment and youth unemployment with inflation is over 70%. You know what that means? In economics, we call it the miserable index. That is, the misery index is total number of people that became miserable from one year to the other. In Nigeria, more than 70% of the people are now miserable. So because of this miserability, it can be measured in terms of job, and that is why every six minutes,
now,
you
Paul,
see one person become poorer.
Paul, I understand you clearly, and those are very interesting numbers you're dropping. Now, when you talk about the fact that current policies, will not in any way address or, at least take us off this ranking, taking a look at the ERGP, do you think that there's hope there? Do you think that can really address, of course, unemployment? If people get a job and get paid, of course, they'll be able to take care of their families and improve living conditions. Do you think that the document we're working on at the moment will address this? Or are you referring to, of course, policies in the past?
ERGP is already doing its best. It's not different from policy we've had in the past. If a country must develop its development plan, not a short-term, medium-term policy like you have in ERGP, among others. We need a development plan that will indicate how we are going to migrate from a consuming nation to a developed nation. For every €1 you earn in Nigeria, you have to spend them in at least these 4 ways. Right. Number one, there's what we call marginal propensity to consume. That is money you spend on consumption. Marginal propensity to save, money you put in your bank account as savings for the future. Marginal rate of taxation, the one you spend as taxes, and what you spend on importation. Where you are in Lagos, where I am in Abuja, 90% of everything around us are imported. It's not that Nigeria is cost, that Nigeria could not produce. Listen, if there is consumption, there must be production. The challenge is ERGP has not explained how it will convert large consuming tendencies of Nigeria to production capacity. And any policy that have not addressed production, it will just be a mere policy that will take only 1,000 out of poverty line. But what you need to take out of poverty line is millions of people. And then we want to help. How did China, beg your pardon, leave 200 million out of poverty? United America is the largest country in North America and is the largest production hub in North America. Brazil is the same for South America, is the largest production hub in South America.
Paul,
China is the largest in Asia.
Paul, we can actually go on and on with this comparison. So I'm just going to ask you one question. I just want just one answer to it. Now, with, of course, us dealing with our crisis here in the country, politics coming up to begin with, of course, you're aware of the recent killings in Plateau. We have Boko Haram to deal with. We even have ISIS to deal with. Do you see us leaving this ranking anytime soon? It's a yes or no?
With the current policy, I would say big no to that. And that is why I want to encourage Nigerians to please put their minds together, look beyond politics. Let's look for people who can help us, lift us out of this underdevelopment that we find ourselves.
Well, thank you so much, Paul Alaje, there, Senior Economist at SPM Professionals.